Hey, Ryan Michael Galloway with We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com. Looking at the small home studio with Ron Logan. You can reach Ron at ronlogan@yahoo.com. And so we've talked about the basic components of a computer-based system. Now there's a lot of plugins, and we could talk about a few of those and what they're for. Like, for instance, are things like noise gates available?
Yes.
Okay.
Noise gates and compressors.
Okay. So let's break those down.
Okay.
A noise gate is going to require a certain volume to punch through, otherwise it's going to turn the microphone off. So that if you've got a light snare rattle going on, for instance, off of your snare microphone, and you don't want that to come through, you set that noise gate so until that drum is actually hit, that mic's kind of turned off and it's not recording.
Exactly how it works, yeah.
Okay.
And that's something you probably need on going in. Okay. You can do that once the track is recorded. But if you have, whenever I do my stuff in here, this is a compressor limiter gate, and I do it so you can do it outboard going into there to where it's already kind of done that going in. But if it's still a problem, even once you've recorded the track, then it's also plugins over there to add that to where you can, do it exactly what you said.
So what Ron's telling you is basically, I'm not sure exactly how it's routed, but you can run your microphone through a gate compressor limiter, whatever, and then to the interface.
Exactly.
Now it might get looped through. He's got a board. It might be looped through a board and routed through those effects first.
Right.
But there's a lot of different routing things, and we've talked about routing in our live sound post before. So another one, okay, compressor.
And then compressing, once again, you do that going in to make sure that you're not overloading your input.
And distorting.
And distorting, basically, creating distortions. So
it also makes that sound sit in the mix. When you find the mix, you might have to compress it a little bit more later.
right, but it keeps the dynamic range within a certain area to where you don't have quiet sounds and loud sounds and going back and forth, and you can only turn it up so loud because it might get this loud. So.
Right. So my explanation of it is it turns loud down and it turns soft up a little bit.
Pretty much, yeah.
And how much it does that is based on how much you adjust it.
Yes,
Right.
there's ratio settings and stuff like that. How much, once it gets to a certain point, it'll only let a certain amount of the signal through. And that's the ratio setting on there, which that's a whole other class probably. But basically, that's all adjustable to where you can get it'll only go so loud, then after that, it'll only get maybe a little bit louder.
It's like it's going to automatically turn that sound down.
Yeah.
And if it gets really soft, it'll turn up. I've had that problem with vocalists not being able to sit in the mix too, particularly in live sound. Great to have a compressor on them once they sing soft. And really loud and then soft, and really loud again. You can get them to sit in the mix.
And of course, and then effects plugins. Obviously, you've got your reverbs and your delays and your flangers and phasers and equalizers.
So let's talk about a couple of those. One would be a chorus unit, and a chorus unit can either make it sound like multiples of something is playing, your guitar, your vocals, or something like that. Use it judiciously, because it can sound really gimmicky, but it also can start almost getting to a flange effect, right?
Yeah, it depends on how you use it. And much like the guitar pedals that are out there and the guitar effects, it's got the same concept, and a lot of times the ones that you use are actually, you'll see on the screen, you'll see a little guitar pedal. And stuff.
Because they're copying an existing system.
Sound, exactly. So, so things like phasing and flanging, effects for your guitar. Vocal effects are pretty much along the lines of either doubling with a chorus effect of some kind, or reverbs, delays, compressors to keep everything level. And pitch correction is very big now. It's a way of cheating.
It's nauseating.
And it's gimmicky if you use it.
If you crank it up, right?
So
So you've heard that songs like Owl City, which, to be fair, you still have to be good at delivering a song for it to work, but it takes all the pitchiness out of things, and you can crank it up so much that it makes your voice sound like everybody else,
like a robot. Well, like a robot. It was fun and interesting when Cher did it like 10 years ago,
right?
And since then it's gotten old. And
so Cher did it on I Believe in Love After Love or something like that, and now Shania Twain did it on a whole side of an album, and it's gotten to the point where you can't tell the difference between is it Keisha and I don't know, Katy Perry. I mean, they're all so processed that if you didn't have the visual to go with them, you wouldn't know who was who. A lot of times, I found even Rascal Flatts was using it a ton. And boy, Owl City and Maroon 5, I can hear it in there.
Now it's
So-
a fun tool to have if you've got a really good vocal take, but singer didn't quite make it up to one note. You know, it's a fun tool to have to
And
go ahead and do it.
we've done that once.
Yeah, once or twice.
Twice.
Once.
Yeah.
Well, actually just once, I think. But that's really what it was made for, is a tool like that, just to correct the little things, not to become a gimmick in itself, to wherever, you know, oh, it goes like this.
Yeah, the quantize is cranked up and
Yeah,
a little bit.
exactly. Yeah. So, but no, and that's where it's useful, and you know, that way you don't have to destroy a whole take because somebody didn't quite hit that note. You know, so
Yeah.
wow, it sounds good except for that. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. You know.
I'm at home and Ron calls me and says, you know, that take was really good, except, you know, did you realize she sang the whole thing, just slightly flat to the entire deal? And oh man, that means either reshooting the whole thing, and it was good emotionally, it was a really good take. And that song was off the first CD, and it was No Other One. And I defy you to go listen to it and make it and see if it sounds like a pitch corrector's on it. It's really subtly used, so that was a good thing that time. But so anyway, it can be used as a gimmick, or it can be used as a tool. And also, you got there's an old tool from back in the 70s called the Aural, A-U-R-A-L, Aural Exciter. And they never quite explained what it does, but what I think it does is it takes some of the higher frequencies and splits them out so they go from left to right, and they sound a little bit more spatial. It might even move them around, but I'm not sure.
I have a version of that in mind. Basically, it's harmonics. They're adding odd harmonics in different amounts.
And I don't think they sit in one place.
No, they don't. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
select, and you can shift them and add odd harmonics in different places. And when you do that, it takes those harmonics and brightens and stresses those frequencies to where things appear brighter.
Yeah,
and
brighter,
appear more separated,
more shimmery, more.
Yeah,
It's kind of.
and it's basically harmonics that aren't even really there. It's adding those harmonics to it.
So I came to
And,
Ron with a
yeah.
recording of my son's jazz band in high school, and I recorded this through a couple really basic microphones. You heard me talk about the Behringers and how I like them as a basic mic. They're not a great recording mic, but it's all I had. And I had this little digital recorder that Ron loaned me, and we'll talk about those in that in the next post. But anyway, I just had two mics, and of course, it was an acoustic performance, which made it a little
Outdoors.
easier. Outdoors, no echo, no, which meant it was going to be dead. That's a good thing. And I set things about 10 feet off the stage on the left and the right hand side of the stage, so there'd be a stereo picture. And I brought it to Ron, and holy cow, between that and some tonal adjustments, what he was able to get out of it was just absolutely amazing. So, even reprocessing, reproducing stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of in the mastering tools phase, to where you can take things, and I think on that particular thing you're talking about, there was a tool called a stereo expander that actually, since there really was no stereo picture, there was just two mics, and if you separate them, there's a huge hole in the middle, and I was able to take those signals, and then this created a stereo picture that moved everything kind of out to the sides, and yet kept the middle there and stuff. And it was a fun thing to do. It came out really sounding interesting. I play it for people, and they go, two $20 microphones, and we're not exaggerating, $20 mics into a $150 digital deck, and it really came off sounding good.
Amazing stuff. All right, well, that's some tricks that we've been pulling with the plugins. I am Ryan Michael Galloway. We don't need no stinkingrecordcompany.com. I'm talking to Ron Logan, and you can reach Ron at ronlogan@yahoo.com. All one word, no spaces, no dot.